Your married soulmate wants to reach you. But someone is standing in the way. Before you scroll past this moment, freeze right where you are for just a single breath. Because what you are about to hear did not find its way to your screen by random chance. You didn't click this by accident, and your eyes didn't pause here without a reason. There is an invisible thread that ties certain moments together, and if you leave too quickly, the softest truth waiting for you today might pass by unheard. Something quiet, yet heavy, has been shifting in the invisible space around your life. Have you felt it lately? A sudden weight in your chest that appears out of nowhere? A momentary pause in the middle of a busy day where a specific face or a lingering feeling suddenly consumes your entire mind? A feeling of profound familiarity that arrives without warning, leaving you wondering why someone's presence feels so close, even when they are physically entirely out of reach? These are not random tricks of your imagination. They are subtle echoes. Someone connected to your spirit in a deep, unavoidable way is trying to reach your awareness. But there is a reason this message arrives wrapped in silence. There is a reason everything feels so complicated, so distant, and so heavy. Your soulmate, the one whose energy mirrors yours with startling clarity, is navigating a reality that was built before your paths collided. They are tied to commitments, bound by contracts, and living a life where someone else holds the title, the household, and the daily presence. Someone is standing directly in the way. Stay with this thought for just a little longer. Because what comes next will help you make sense of the confusion, the quiet heartache, and the strange, persistent intuition you have carried in silence for far too long. When two souls recognize each other across a crowded world, society expects it to look simple. We are taught that true connections automatically lead to immediate union, open doors, and effortless paths. But life rarely writes stories in straight lines. Sometimes, destiny places a barrier so massive between two people that it feels almost cruel. A marriage. A ring. A legal obligation. A shared life built with someone else who was already standing there when the universe decided to cross your paths. If you have ever asked yourself why this connection had to happen now, why it had to arrive at the worst possible time, wrapped in the most complicated circumstances, you are not alone. The person who carries your soul's reflection is currently walking inside a life they cannot easily dismantle. They wake up to a reality where their name is linked to another. They move through daily routines, obligations, and expectations that were constructed long before their heart truly awakened to you. And yet, despite the rings, the walls, and the third person standing between you, there is an unspoken signal passing between your worlds. They are thinking of you. In the quiet moments when the room goes dark, when the conversation in their household fades into routine, and when they look out the window into the night sky, their mind wanders toward a possibility they dare not speak out loud. They are reaching out toward your energy in the only way they currently can, through the quiet, unseen language of the spirit. Pause for a second and consider this deeply. Why would the universe allow you to sense someone so profoundly, only to place them inside a life that belongs to someone else? Why permit a recognition so deep, while simultaneously building a wall so high? Most people mistake this obstacle for a total failure of destiny. They look at the marriage, the third party, and the impossibility of the situation, and they tell themselves that this was a mistake, or that they shouldn't be feeling this way. But what if the obstacle is not the end of the story? What if it is the crucible? A connection built on a soul level is never meant to destroy lives recklessly. It is not meant to cause chaotic destruction or cheap, hidden betrayals. When a soulmate is married to someone else, it forces both individuals into a process of intense inner evaluation. For them, it forces a confrontation with their own truth. It makes them ask whether they are living an authentic life, or merely fulfilling a long-standing contract. For you, it forces a profound lesson in self-worth and patience. It makes you ask if you are willing to value yourself enough to refrain from settling for breadcrumbs, while still honoring the deep truth of what you feel. The presence of someone standing in the way isn't there to crush your heart. It is there to force both of you to grow strong enough to handle the truth of what you share. If your married soulmate could sit across from you right now, without the fear of consequences, without the eyes of the world watching, and without the heavy weight of their current commitments, their heart would say, "Do not mistake my silence for absence. Do not think that because I am living this other life, I am blind to what exists between us. I am navigating a web I built before I knew what true recognition felt like. I am carrying obligations that demand my honor, even while my heart wanders toward the space you occupy." They want you to know that they feel the tension too. They feel the sudden pull in their chest when your name crosses their mind. They feel the weight of sitting next to someone else while harboring a depth of feeling for you that defies simple explanation. They are not floating through their current life completely untouched, they are feeling the weight of the wall just as intensely as you are. However, they are currently trapped by fear and duty. Someone is standing in the way not just physically, but emotionally. The third person in this dynamic holds the legal right, the historical comfort, and the public validation. Breaking those bonds requires immense courage, timing, and structural shifting that cannot happen overnight. Now listen very carefully, because this is the critical realization that many people overlook when they find themselves in this position. When you know someone is your soulmate, but they are tied to someone else, the ego naturally wants to fight. It wants to force the door open. It wants to demand answers, analyze every glance, search for secret codes, or force a confrontation that tears down the wall immediately. But forcing a door that is locked from the inside only breaks the frame. If you spend your days chasing them, waiting in agony for a message that cannot be sent, or allowing your entire life to freeze while they live theirs, you drain the vital light out of your own energy. Your soulmate is not asking you to become a shadow in the background of their current marriage. They are not asking you to wait in the dark, settling for secret moments and partial truths. The message traveling from their spirit to yours isn't to wait for them in misery. The message is to keep building your own light so that if the day comes when the walls fall, you meet as two complete human beings, not two broken pieces. If this connection is real, it does not require you to diminish yourself. The moment you begin shrinking your life to fit into the small spaces of someone else's complicated marital situation, you lose the very frequency that attracted the soul connection in the first place. Imagine standing before a massive iron gate. On the other side stands the person whose spirit matches yours. But standing right at the gate is a guardian, representing their current marriage, their legal vows, and their existing responsibilities. If you throw yourself against the iron gate, you only hurt yourself. Instead, look at what is happening under the surface. Destiny rarely moves with loud, chaotic explosions, it moves through quiet, systematic shifts. While everything on the outside looks stagnant. While they remain married and the third person continues to stand firmly in the way, invisible pieces are quietly moving behind the scenes. Inside your soulmate's home, conversations are carrying a different tone. The quiet realization that something vital is missing is growing louder in their private moments. The daily routines that used to feel comforting are starting to feel restrictive. You do not need to intervene in their marriage. You do not need to cause drama or push from the outside. The truth of a soul connection acts like a quiet mirror. Once a person sees what true resonance feels like, they can never fully unsee it, no matter how hard they try to comfort themselves inside an unfulfilling life. As you listen to these words today, take a deep breath and let the tension drop out of your shoulders. You have been carrying a heavy weight, the weight of holding space for someone who belongs, on paper, to somebody else. It is an exhausting, lonely place to be. It makes you feel guilty for feeling so deeply, yet impossible to let go because the truth of the intuition refuses to die. Here is what you must do starting today: stop fighting the third person. Stop viewing the person standing in the way as your ultimate enemy. In the grand architecture of your life, that person is playing a necessary role. They are holding up a mirror to your soulmate, showing them what life looks like when it is lived out of duty rather than deep alignment. They are acting as the ultimate test of authenticity. If your soulmate is meant to step out of that life and walk toward you, it must be their own choice. It must come from their own realization, their own courage, and their own growth. It cannot be forced by you. Your job right now is not to tear down their marriage. Your job is to reclaim your own energy. If this journey has touched a quiet place inside your heart today, take a second to pause. Often, we keep these complex, unspoken feelings locked deep inside because the world around us wouldn't understand. The world sees things only in black and white, right and wrong, legal and illegal, simple and clean. But life is lived in the deep, subtle gray spaces where the heart operates. If these words have brought a sense of clarity or quiet comfort to the storm you've been carrying, leave a simple comment below sharing one thought or feeling that resonated with you the most. Your words might give silent strength to another heart walking this exact same complicated path today. And if you feel guided to stay connected as this story unfolds, subscribing ensures that you will not miss the next step of this message when it arrives. What we have covered today is the reality of the barrier, why the third person exists, why the timing feels so agonizing, and why your soulmate's energy is calling out to you through the silence. But there is a deeper layer that we have not yet touched. There are exact shifts that begin happening inside a married soulmate just before they make a life-changing decision. There are quiet signs that signal their current marriage is reaching its final spiritual cycle, how the person standing in the way unknowingly accelerates the truth, and what you must do with your own energy to ensure you remain empowered, peaceful, and fully aligned with your highest path. You are not crazy for feeling what you feel. You are not wrong for recognizing a soul connection. But you are being called to walk through this season with wisdom, self-respect, and absolute clarity. Hold on to your peace. Walk with quiet confidence, because the truth always reveals itself in time. There is a quiet, unspoken shift that happens inside a person's spirit long before they ever make a visible decision to change their life. When someone is tied to an existing marriage, locked inside obligations that no longer match their internal truth, the wall they present to the world looks completely solid on the outside. They still come home at the same hour, they still share the same dinner table, they still attend the same family gatherings, and they still wear the same golden ring upon their finger. To anyone watching from a distance, nothing seems to have changed. But beneath that silent surface, an inevitable transformation has already begun. The foundation of a life built purely on habit, duty, or social expectation begins to crumble the exact moment true soul recognition enters the equation. Once a heart catches a glimpse of what genuine alignment, emotional peace, and spiritual resonance feel like, the unfulfilling routine they once accepted as normal begins to feel uncomfortably heavy. Think about what happens inside their private world when night falls and the noise of the day fades away. They sit in a room beside a partner with whom they share a history, a name, and a household, yet a profound, undeniable distance opens up between them. They look at someone who holds the official title in their life, yet they feel completely alone. This is not out of malice or cruelty toward the third person, it is simply the natural consequence of a heart that has awakened elsewhere. They find themselves going through the motions of conversation, offering polite smiles and answering mundane questions, while their mind secretly wanders miles away toward you. They ask themselves how they ended up living a life that feels like an elaborate script rather than an authentic reality. Every quiet sigh they release into the dark room carries an unspoken weight. Every moment spent pretending becomes an exhausting performance. They are experiencing the slow, undeniable dissolution of an illusion, and that dissolution is far more powerful than any loud conflict could ever be. You must understand that the person standing in the way, the spouse, the long-standing partner, is not an invincible force holding your destiny hostage. In reality, their presence is accidentally accelerating the truth every single day. When a marriage is sustained only by convenience, fear of judgment, or financial security, any attempt to force closeness actually pushes the married soulmate further away. The third person may try harder to hold on to the routine, demanding more attention, organizing more events, or expecting the same old emotional patterns to work. But every forced interaction only highlights the vast void where genuine soul connection should be. The more the third person tries to preserve the status quo, the more obvious it becomes to your soulmate that they are living in a house without a foundation. The barrier is not shutting the door on your connection. It is exposing the truth of their existing life. There are subtle, quiet signs that indicate a relationship is reaching its final spiritual cycle, long before legal papers are ever mentioned or public announcements are made. The first sign is emotional neutrality. When a person is actively trying to make an unfulfilling marriage work, they will fight, argue, or express frustration because they are still trying to fix it. But when a soul connection has awakened their spirit elsewhere, the argument fades into silence. They stop trying to change their partner, they stop defending themselves, and they stop investing emotional energy into fixing what is fundamentally out of alignment. They move into a state of quiet resignation, simply enduring the environment until they find the internal strength to address it. Their silence inside their own home is not peace, it is emotional detachment. The second sign is an unexplained, deep craving for solitude. A person trapped between a soul connection and a legal obligation finds themselves seeking moments of total isolation. They take longer routes home from work, sit in their car for extra minutes before stepping into the driveway, or spend endless hours looking out at the horizon in total silence. In those isolated moments, they are breathing in the only air that feels real to them. They are mentally visiting the space where your energy lives. They are gathering the courage to face the terrifying reality of what breaking down a life requires. Dismantling a marriage means facing public scrutiny, family disappointment, financial turmoil, and the fear of the unknown. It is one of the most frightening transitions a human being can undergo, and they must walk through that fear at their own pace. The third sign is the sudden loss of tolerance for superficial comfort. Things that used to distract them, material luxuries, routine social events, empty validation, or keeping up appearances, suddenly lose all of their charm. They look at the life they built and realize that comfort without connection is just an elegant cage. They begin to understand that remaining in a contract that dishonors their true heart is not acts of nobility, it is simply fear disguised as duty. This realization is a slow-burning fire. It does not always result in an explosive exit overnight, but once the fire is lit, it slowly consumes every excuse they have used to stay comfortable in a lie. Now, turn your attention back to your own heart, because this is where your power lies. When you are caught in the orbit of a married soulmate, the greatest trap is allowing your life to become a waiting room. It is endlessly tempting to pause your plans, withhold your heart from the world, and spend every waking moment monitoring their situation, searching for subtle hints that they are finally leaving. But living in a state of suspended anticipation drains your light and lowers your personal vibration. If you sit in the dark waiting for someone else to resolve their life, you subconsciously broadcast a message that you are helpless, dependent, and second best. Your soulmate spirit did not recognize you because you were willing to settle for crumbs of attention or hide in the shadows of their existing life. They recognized you because your soul carries a unique, radiant light that reminded them of who they truly are. If you dim that light by falling into desperation, anxiety, or resentment, you weaken the magnetic pull between your worlds. The best thing you can possibly do for this connection, and for your own sacred life, is to step back into your absolute power. Reclaim your space. Focus on your growth, your goals, your peace, and your joy. Live your life so fully and authentically that your happiness does not depend on whether a door opens today, tomorrow, or a year from now. When you embody complete self-worth, you send a powerful, unspoken signal into the energetic space you share with them. That signal says, I honor the truth of what we are, but I also honor myself far too much to live as a secret or a backup plan. I am building a life of absolute peace, and if you wish to stand beside me, you must step into your own courage and walk through your own fires first. This is not coldness or rejection, it is the ultimate expression of love and self-respect. It challenges your soulmate to rise to the occasion. It stops them from lingering in the comfortable middle ground where they keep the safety of their old life while soaking up the spiritual comfort of yours. Imagine the Iron Gate once more, but this time, see yourself turning around and walking toward a vast, open landscape that belongs entirely to you. You are no longer standing at the gate, staring through the bars, begging for it to open. You are cultivating your own garden, breathing fresh air, and creating a life of beauty, stability, and joy on your side of the path. When your soulmate looks out from the window of their restrictive environment, they do not see someone weeping at the gate. They see someone who is whole, peaceful, and complete within themselves. That sight is the most magnetic, inspiring force in the universe. It gives them the precise clarity and courage they need to face their own fears and address their own life. Life does not waste profound soul connections on simple timing, but it also does not demand that you destroy yourself while waiting for timing to align. Everything that is happening right now is serving a higher purpose of preparation. Your soulmate is learning the painful lesson of authenticity, discovering that living a lie to keep the peace is a slow death of the spirit. You are learning the equally vital lesson of self-sovereignty, discovering that your worth is never dictated by someone else's availability or readiness. Both of these lessons are necessary. Without them, even if you were to come together tomorrow, the relationship would be weighed down by guilt, codependency, and unresolved baggage. If you have carried the silent weight of this complicated connection for weeks, months, or even years, let this moment be the threshold where you release the tension in your mind. Stop replaying old conversations, stop analyzing silent pauses, and stop trying to predict how the third person will react or when the marriage will dissolve. Trust that the truth carries its own weight and its own timeline. The universe does not require your constant anxiety to orchestrate what is natural and real. What belongs in your life will always find its way to you, not through force, manipulation, or desperation, but through alignment, readiness, and self-respect. Take a deep, quiet breath and let the quiet truth settle into your soul today. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not a bystander in someone else's messy story. You are the author of your own life, walking a path designed to awaken your ultimate strength and dignity. If these words have brought a sense of calm, clarity, or deep relief to the quiet thoughts you carry, leave a simple comment sharing the realization that touched your heart the most today. Sharing your story in the space below creates a sanctuary of understanding for others who are silently navigating the complex, gray areas of love and destiny. And if you feel guided to stay aligned with this journey of self-discovery and soul clarity, subscribing ensures that our paths will continue to cross whenever these gentle reminders are needed most. As we bring this reflection to a close, carry this final truth with you into tomorrow. Never diminish your own light to fit into the small spaces of a life someone else is hesitant to change. Love yourself enough to stand in total peace, trusting that any connection forged in the genuine depth of the spirit will withstand the test of time, distance, and complication. Walk with an open heart, keep your dignity held high, and trust the quiet wisdom of your own journey. The path forward is not about breaking down someone else's door, it is about building a life so beautiful that the right door opens all on its own. The journey through a soulmate connection delayed by a marriage or third party eventually brings you to a quiet, undeniable threshold. This is the stage where the emotional fog lifts, the initial shock and longing settle, and the deeper spiritual reality of the entire situation becomes completely clear. Up until now, your mind may have been consumed by constant questions, why now? Why them? How much longer must this weight be carried? But as you reach this deeper state of awareness, the urgency to force an outcome begins to fade, replaced by a profound, unshakable calm. You begin to understand that this connection was never meant to be a chaotic storm that destroys lives, nor was it meant to keep you trapped in a perpetual state of longing. It was brought into your experience to awaken you to your own power, truth, and infinite value. Inside the private world of your married soulmate, the internal shifts are reaching a critical point of no return. The period of quiet detachment and subtle questioning has evolved into an unmistakable clarity. They can no longer pretend that their existing arrangement is enough to satisfy their spirit. The conversations inside their home, which once felt comfortably routine, now feel suffocatingly hollow. They realize that staying in a relationship purely out of habit, obligation, or the fear of societal judgment is a disservice not only to themselves, but also to the person they are married to. The third person, who once seemed like an insurmountable wall standing between two worlds, is no longer seen as a barrier or an enemy. Instead, they are recognized as someone who deserves a partner who is fully present, authentically loving, and entirely committed. Qualities your soulmate can no longer offer because their heart has already awakened elsewhere. This realization shifts the entire dynamic. The conflict is no longer about fighting an outside obstacle, it is about addressing an internal truth. Your soulmate begins to see that holding on to a marriage that has run its spiritual course out of fear is not an act of kindness. It is a slow, quiet compromise that prevents both people involved from finding genuine fulfillment. The guilt that once paralyzed them starts to transform into the courage required to have difficult, honest conversations. They realize that facing the temporary pain, chaos, and disruption of dismantling an unfulfilling life is far better than spending the rest of their years living a lie. While this shift takes place within them, a fundamental evolution must happen within you as well. This is the moment where you completely surrender the desire to control, monitor, or predict their choices. Surrender does not mean giving up on love, nor does it mean accepting defeat. Surrender means having such absolute trust in your own worth and in the natural flow of destiny that you no longer feel the need to chase, plead, or wait in anxiety. You realize that true love never requires you to compromise your self-respect, diminish your light, or live as a secret in the background of someone else's life. You stop checking for subtle signals, stop replaying old memories, and stop waiting for permission from someone else to live your life to the absolute fullest. When you reach this state of total emotional independence, an incredible transformation occurs in your personal energy. You are no longer radiating the desperate, needy frequency of waiting for someone to complete you or rescue you from loneliness. Instead, you radiate the grounded, magnetic energy of a person who is whole, peaceful, and deeply rooted in their own truth. You become a living example of what it means to choose peace over chaos and self-love over breadcrumbs. This magnetic frequency is the most powerful signal you can send out into the universe, and it affects your soulmate far more deeply than any message, phone call, or confrontation ever could. From across the distance, your soulmate feels this energy shift instantly. The subtle energetic cord that connects two souls reacts to changes in awareness. When you stop waiting and step fully into your own power, they no longer feel the comfortable safety net of knowing you will always be sitting in the shadows, waiting for them to make up their mind. They realize that you are moving forward, building a life of beauty, peace, and abundance with or without them. This realization creates a profound sense of healthy urgency within their spirit. It forces them to look in the mirror and ask themselves, Am I going to allow fear to keep me trapped in an illusion forever, or am I going to step into my truth before the opportunity passes me by? It is crucial to realize that the person standing in the way was never truly the third party, the legal contract, or the family expectations. The only thing that was ever standing in the way was fear, fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of conflict, and fear of change. But fear cannot survive in the presence of unwavering authenticity and patience. As your soulmate witnesses your strength, grace, and inner peace, their own fear begins to lose its hold on them. They see that on the other side of the terrifying transition lies a life built on absolute truth, deep emotional connection, and genuine alignment. As you walk through this phase of your journey, give yourself permission to release every drop of lingering resentment, anger, or guilt. You do not need to feel guilty for recognizing a soul connection, nor do you need to harbor anger toward the third person involved. Everyone in this scenario is playing a specific, purposeful role in a larger story of spiritual growth. The existing marriage provided lessons of structure, duty, and discernment. The third person held space until the lesson was complete. Your soulmate was pushed to confront their own authenticity, and you were called to step into your highest level of self-worth and patience. Nothing was wasted, no pain was in vain, and every delay served as necessary preparation. Now, take a moment to look toward the horizon of your life with complete clarity. You are no longer standing at a closed door, staring through the keyhole, hoping someone on the inside will unlock it for you. You are walking forward on your own sacred path, fully aware that whatever is truly meant for you will never pass you by, and whatever passes you by was never truly meant for you in the form you imagined. If your soulmate gathers the courage to dismantle their past, step out of the shadows, and meet you in total truth and freedom, you will welcome them as two complete, empowered individuals ready to build a magnificent future. And if their path takes a different route, you remain completely whole, deeply peaceful, and fully open to the infinite beauty that destiny has prepared for you. Let the tension leave your shoulders, let the breath return to your chest, and let your heart rest in absolute certainty today. You are not late, you are not trapped, and you are not walking in darkness. You are standing in the brilliant light of your own realization. If these words have brought a profound sense of peace, closure, or quiet strength to your journey today, leave a simple comment sharing the thought that resonated with your heart the most. Your story and your presence in this space serve as a beacon of comfort for countless others who are silently navigating their own complex paths of love and transformation. And if you wish to remain connected to these messages of clarity and spiritual empowerment, subscribing ensures that our paths will continue to cross whenever you need a reminder of your true strength. As this chapter closes, carry this ultimate truth with you into every step of your tomorrow. Your worth was never defined by someone else's availability, and your destiny is never held hostage by someone else's timeline. Walk with your head held high, keep your heart overflowing with peace, and trust that the truth will always illuminate the right path forward. You are complete, you are worthy, and the most beautiful pages of your story are unfolding right now.